So it's a very normal thing for most realtors. You get the offer, you forward it to the seller, you see what they say. But actually, there's a formula in a system that you can follow that will help you not only to service the client better, but it's also going to help you to get more offers signed. This is huge. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you on this entire broadcast. And that's because that's normal human reaction. If people don't like the price they're being offered, they're not going to listen to anything else and they're going to not be reasonable with you. If you guys have a pen, take it out right now. This is one of the most helpful scripts that I have for sellers. Good afternoon. It's Jessica Nelson. I am back with more tips to help you to close more deals. Today, I'm thinking about spring market. We are in March, and if you are in most parts of the country right now, you are starting to see your personal economy pick up. You're probably getting a lot more listings now. You're having past clients starting to reach out to you saying things like, hey, it's March. How's spring market looking? So, the skill that I wanted to help everyone with today is not how to get the listing because they're going to come to you fairly easily at this point, but it's how to get your offers accepted by your sellers. Now, for a lot of us, we really don't have any type of system, script. A lot of people, what do? We just email that contract, that offer that comes into the seller, and we wait to see what they say. So it's a very normal thing for most realtors. You get the offer, you forward it to the seller, you see what they say. But actually, there's a formula in a system that you can follow that will help you not only to service the client better, because ultimately that's what we're in the business of doing. We service our clients, but it's also going to help you to get more offers signed. How can we get more offers accepted? Let's talk about a formula for exactly how you guys are going to do this. So you put 123 Banana Street on the market today, and you guys are putting that on the market, let's say 650. The seller said, you know what, my neighbor, they sold for 600, but my house is nicer. So let's try for 650. And that's a nice house. You guys have a bunch of showings this weekend and you receive an offer on Monday. Now, that offer is probably not going to come in at full price. They might, but most offers that we're seeing nowadays are going to be a little bit lower. Let's say the offer that comes in is 610. You put this home on the market today, you have a bunch of showings this weekend, you get one offer by Monday. Although your list price is 650, the offer comes in at 610. How are we going to now communicate with the seller to where the seller is going to decide to do something positive? So, what does most sellers do? Most sellers are going to look at the offer and be like, this is a waste of time. Leave me alone. You told me we would get full price. That is a normal response. So, let them say whatever it is they're going to say. You're going to want to sit down with the seller. You can either do it with them in person, or if you don't have the time to be with them in person, you guys can set up a Zoom to go over the offer, or you can just do it by phone. Whatever is their preferred means of communication. And when you go over this offer, what I'm going to share with you guys is an easy 7-step process to get to an answer. So the first thing you're going to do, step number 1, we're going to talk about the motivation to move. What's a motivating factor that one of you guys are dealing with right now for one of your sellers? So let's say your seller put their home on the market because they're relocating for work. That's probably some of you are dealing with that motivation right now. The first thing you're going to do, step 1, is talk to them about their motivation. Why are they selling? Whatever it is, we're going to discuss that first. And what's the reason why we're doing that? It's because sometimes people get so focused on fighting or on ego based, I got to get my price because my house is better than my neighbor. They sometimes forget why they're selling. So we want to bring them back to what they're looking to accomplish. So if they're looking to accomplish moving to another town, if they're looking to accomplish selling one property so that they don't have to carry 2 mortgages, step number 1 is talking about that motivation and why we're even here together in the first place. Now, what's the second thing we're going to talk about? What's the first thing that people love to tell you when the offer is not where they want it to be? They start to rag on the buyer, right? Most sellers, if they want 650 and the buyer came in at 600, the first thing they're going to say is, well, they can't afford it, or they shouldn't even be looking at my house. So, step number two is you're going to discuss the buyer's qualifications. And I'm going to test you guys to go a little bit further because, yes, you have their pre-qual letter. You guys probably know what the lender is saying they can afford. But have you talked to the buyer's agent to find out more about these folks? I typically like to find out, and I'm not asking for like a heartfelt long letter. I'm not saying, they don't need to write you guys love letters and send videos like we did back in 21. But talk to the buyer's agent, or if they're your direct buyer, about their financial standing. How long have they been employed? What do they do for a living? What kind of home are they moving from? And what you want to do is get more information about that buyer. So, for example, I'm Lorena, and I'm sitting down with my client who is moving to Palm Springs from Dallas. Bob and Sue. So, the first thing I want to discuss is you still definitely want to get to Palm Springs by July, right? Yes. Okay, great. Now, I have the buyer's qualifications, and it does appear that they are approved for a $665,000 loan with 20% down. I also got to know them a little bit better. I found out that the husband is an engineer. He's been employed by Raytheon for 10 years. And I found out that the wife is a teacher and she's a tenured Dallas ISD teacher. So you want to get more information about who these buyers are in terms of their financial status. Now, be very careful and hear me loud and clear. We have discrimination laws no matter what state you are in. You are not to talk about people's religion, couple status, what kind of marriage arrangement they're in. All you're doing is talking about their financial arrangements to give your sellers a better idea of, can these people afford the property? Step one, discuss their motivation. Step two, discuss the buyer's qualifications. Now, step three is going to be certain markets. Here in Texas, it's not really important, and in New Jersey, it was. Sometimes you're going to want to discuss the deposit. How much are they able to put down? Because some properties, especially in higher price points, loans are not going to get approved with only 3% down. For us in Texas, that's not really an issue. So I'm going to move on from step three. Step four, this is huge. This is the most important thing I'm going to tell you on this entire broadcast. How does every seller look at an offer? Where do they start? You're going to flip the script. And instead of starting at the beginning of the offer, what you're actually going to do when you're describing it to them is start from the end. And why are we doing that? Because we all know that even if you gave your client 10%, 20% over asking, they still feel like it's not enough. So, what you're going to want to start with when you're talking about the terms is the back, read from the back of the contract to the front. So, what does that look like? You're going to start with, okay, well, it looks like the buyer wants to close by April 20th. So that would be well in time for you to make it to Palm Springs in July. The seller is not asking you for any concessions. So you won't have to kick back anything from the price that they're offering you. And the other thing that they're looking for is they're going to pay their own buyer's agent. And then you're so on and so forth. You're going to start with the terms and end with the price. And the reason why you want to start with the terms first is because once they hear price, they turn off. Drop a fire or a like in the chat if you have ever had a seller that the minute you told them the price, they didn't want to hear shit else. They just whoop, their ears, they turned off. That's it. And that's because that's normal human reaction. If people don't like the price they're being offered, they're not going to listen to anything else and they're going to not be reasonable with you. So that is why you want to start at the back of the contract discussing terms and then end with price. Now, at this point, we're at step number 4, read the contract from back to forward and discuss price last. What do you think we want to do next? Step number 5 is you're going to go to the net sheet. Now, when I say the net sheet, I want you to be very clear with your clients that this is just an estimate and that there may be other fees included, because you don't want to be telling people that this is exactly what they're going to get. There could be some changes, obviously, but you want to use the net sheet as a rough idea. Okay, Bob and Sue, you're looking to get to Palm Springs by July, and you were looking to net after paying all fees and your mortgage 250,000. Well, based on the offer that we've received and the terms and price of that offer, it looks like if you were to accept it, you would be just a little bit short. You would be at 230,000. So, what do we need to do to make this offer to where you would accept it? Again, what we're looking to do is keep the conversation going and or to get this contract signed. Step 1, discuss their motivation. Step 2, discuss the buyer's qualification. 3, discuss the deposit. 4, read the contract from back to front and talk about the price last. 5, you're going to go directly to the net sheet. Number 6, what you're going to do is review quickly the highlights of the offer. So, what are the good points of the offer? Here in Texas, a good point would be buyers paying for title. We don't see that very often in this market today. A highlight would be they're choosing to pay their buyer's agent. That could save them 3% on 650,000. We're not talking about chump change. That's almost $20,000. You want to, step number 6, review quickly the highlights of the offer, the things that are good about the offer. And then obviously, number 7, you're going to ask them, so how do you feel about moving forward with this offer? And what do you think every seller is going to say? If you have gone through all of those steps, most sellers are going to say something like, do you think we could get a little more? What do you think we should counter at? And do you see how it went from, if you would have just sent them the contract and said, here you go, they would have given you the bird to you and told you, yeah, no, thank you, this offer stinks. To, if you follow this 7-step presentation with them, you can actually get a real conversation going to where you either receive a counter that they want to give, or maybe they even just decide, you know what? I'm tired of being on the market. I'm ready to go. Let's sign it. So I'm going to give you guys 2 more scripts to help you. So when you're in the part of the discussion where you're talking about net sheets, this is generally where you can say this to your client. If you guys have a pen, take it out right now. This is one of the most helpful scripts that I have for sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are 2 things that we do not know with certainty. The first is, number 1, we do not know how long it'll take before we get another offer, nor do we know if we will get another offer. The other thing we don't know with certainty, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is whether or not the next offer will be the same or better than this one. Why are we saying this to sellers? If you're saying things to your clients like the first offer is the best offer, you might as well retire. That is something that my grandmother used to say. Please, like, we are making way too much money to be talking to clients like that in 2025. However, part of that sentiment is true. Part of the sentiment where that all started from, the first offer is the best offer, it's because any experienced agent will tell you that the excitement for a property is the highest when it's first listed. And then obviously, the longer a home has been on the market, the lower the offers generally come in. Higher days on market, lower offers. This is typically a fact across the country. So when agents used to say things like, the first offer is the best offer, it's very lazy because what it's implying is, hey, I don't want to do any work to find better for you. hey, I'm not interested in negotiating or working hard for you, it implies like you're just looking to shuffle some papers and get something signed, which all of us with how much we're being paid should be doing a lot more than that for our clients. But the underlying root of where that comes from, that old school saying, is that typically the best offers come in the beginning of the listing period. And that's true. So if you're getting offers in the first 2 weeks and your client is like, "No, this sucks. I'm not interested." They're likely going to be start chasing the market down and seeing lower and lower and lower offers as they spend more time on market. So, while we never want to have a conversation with somebody that's lazy or implies that you're not capable of negotiation, what you do want to do is help your clients to see that there are two things you do not know with certainty. Number one is how long it will take until you get another offer. Could it be 30 days? Could it be 60 days? Could it be 90 days? And the second is, will the next offer be the same or better than the one you currently have? Maybe that next offer is going to come in lower. So, when we're asking this question, what we're really looking for is for the seller to take a positive action. And what is a positive action? A positive action when you receive an offer, there's only two of them. The first, which is awesome if you can do it, is they sign the contract, they move forward to closing. The second would be a counter, which is going to be in most situations in today's market what you're receiving. So let's talk about the script for that. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is another great script all of you guys can use. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, with any offer, we have three options. The first is we can accept the offer, sign it, and move forward to closing, and you will receive your money according to the contract on April 20th. The second option is you can decide to reject the offer and continue to look for something better on the market and not respond to these buyers. We would just let them know that we reject their offer. That ends the conversation. Third option that you have when receiving an offer, and this is the option that most sellers choose to take, is you can continue the conversation by countering with a price and terms that works for you. So, Bob and Sue, I know that you need to get to Palm Springs by July. I know that your net sheet needs to be at 250 and it looks like we're currently at 230. What would be a counter that you and your family would feel comfortable with if the buyer accepted it? And then what do you guys do? You hush, shh, you just, and you're going to like literally, you're going to want to jump out of the phone or out of your shoes. You're going to die to say something. But as soon as you say that, you have to be quiet until they say something. And if you're there with them and they stare at each other and they take a minute, or if they start arguing, you just STFU. You have to be quiet. And trust me when I tell you that this is the hardest thing, because they're gonna start to like most couples, they kind of bicker. They're like, well, honey, I think that we should just take it. No, 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 I need to get this price. I put all that money into the roof. And they kind of go through their own thing in front of you. You really have to do your best to just sit there and be quiet and supportive, because what's going to come out of that conversation between whoever's involved as the sellers, whether it's husband and wife, parent, brother and sister, whoever it is, they're going to decide together what kind of counter they feel comfortable with. And then your job is going to be to put that counter in writing and take it back to the buyer. And again, either the buyer is going to accept that or you'll continue the negotiation process. One thing I would warn all agents to be aware of: you're never going to convince anyone in the history of the world to do something they don't want to do. No matter how crazy or silly you think it is, because raise your hand if you have had a seller that got an offer that you couldn't believe. And I'm going to give you a bonus tip, because I'm sure that one of you, if you're a great listing agent, you're going to find yourself in this situation. It recently happened to me. We got an offer that was way above market value for a property. It was a cash offer, a 2-week close. When we got this thing, I was like, holy smokes, that is amazing. Seller said, no, I think we can do better. I don't even want to respond. I said, okay, I understand. Again, you're never going to convince someone to do something they don't want to do. Your job is to understand them and support them in what they want, right? So rather than arguing with them and telling them, "Oh, you're never going to get a better offer," cuz all that's going to do is alienate your client. It's going to cause them to not trust you. It's going to cause them to feel like they're working against you and you're not working with them. All of those things are a disaster and doom for a listing agent. So to avoid all of that, what you really want to do is ask questions seeking to understand. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can appreciate that you've done a lot of updates to this home. And maybe you don't feel like this is the right offer. I guess let me ask you this. The only two things that we don't know with certainty is number one, how long will it take for us to receive another offer? We've already been on the market for 38 days, and to receive this over asking offer is pretty amazing. Now, what's going to happen if it takes another 38 days to receive another offer? Can you wait that long? Sure. Well, the other thing we don't know with certainty, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is we don't know if we're going to get another offer that's even close to this price. What are you going to do if the next offer that comes in is 50 or 100,000 less than this offer? What will you do then? Those are such powerful questions, guys, because it's the reality of what can happen. And rather than you arguing with someone and saying things like, you're never going to do this again, you're never going to get this again, it helps them to self discover, well, shoot, what if we don't get another offer that's like this? Is this the most we're going to get? And maybe at the very least, even if they don't accept it, maybe they give you some sort of counter you can work with. Sometimes nothing works. Sometimes people are just dead set on something and they just have a number in their mind. And for those particular people, a question that I like to ask them is, Bob, I can really appreciate the fact that even though this offer is over asking and it's all cash and it accomplishes all of your goals, that maybe it just doesn't feel like the right offer for you. One thing I'd like to ask you is, if you never get another offer like this, maybe the next offer that comes in, the next highest offer you get is 100,000 less. Are you going to feel that I didn't give you the right information, that you should have taken this offer and it was my fault that I didn't tell you? That is so powerful, y'all, because it's the truth. When they don't take the best offer, they don't blame themselves. They're not going to blame their wife or their husband. They're not going to blame the dog. They're going to blame you. Yeah. They're going to forget the whole fact that you went through all the facts with them. They're just going to remember that you didn't tell them that they should take that offer. So I love to ask that question. It's a very powerful question. All of you should be employing it when you're going through these situations. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you never receive another offer close to this one, and this remains the best offer you ever get, are you going to be angry with me, feeling that I didn't push you enough to take this best offer? I have had sellers say to me, you know what? I'm not going to be angry with you. I'm going to be angry with me. And then they continue to list with me, and they did end up taking another offer that was $150,000 less. It's a really powerful question if you're having sellers that are just not wanting to accept great offers and you know that they're not going to get a better one. It's very powerful to ask that question. So I hope that you guys are going to put these 7 tips to use. So again, the 7 steps to getting your offer accepted. Step 1, discuss their motivation. Why are they moving? What are they looking to accomplish? Step 2, what are the buyer's financial qualifications? Do we believe that they are actually going to complete the purchase? Or is this someone who last minute threw together a pre-approval? Can they really afford the home? You want to discuss the buyer's true qualifications with the sellers. Give them peace of mind. Number 3 is to discuss the deposit if you're working in a market where that matters. In New Jersey, it does. Texas, it does not. Number 4, read the contract from back to front, and you're going to discuss price last. Number 5, go directly to the net sheet and talk about what they need in order to sell. Number 6, quickly review the highlights of the offer. What are the positive points of the offer? What are the good things about this offer? Number 7, ask for the signature. And 2 scripts you guys can use. Script number 1, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 2 things we do not know with certainty. Number 1, how long it will take for us to receive another offer. Number 2, if the next offer will be the same or higher than this one, or even close to this one. The other script that you can use, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 3 options that every seller has available to them when receiving an offer. Option number 1 is to accept the offer. Go ahead and execute it. Move forward to your closing date of XYZ date. Receive your cash and move on that day. Option number 2, reject this offer. Let the buyer know that they're just not in the ballpark and we're not interested in working with them. End the conversation. And then option number 3, what most sellers choose is to continue the conversation. And that's by countering the offer. What would be a counter that you and your family feel comfortable with if the buyer were to accept your counter? And then you hush, let them answer, and you provide that counter, whatever it is, to the other side. Remember what our real job is as realtors. One of my old colleagues used to say to me that we are on a chessboard and our job is to move the pawns closer on the board. Your job is not to be a hero. Your job is not to reinvent the wheel. Our job as realtors, if there's, a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, is to move the pawns closer on the board. Get everyone moving in the same direction forward. And sometimes it takes a little massaging in every direction to get that thing to work. But if you use these scripts, you're going to find that a lot more of the offers you present this spring will be either accepted or countered.